Hello, beautiful people. So, welcome to your astrological forecast for next week. And this one, of course, will be predominantly focusing on the full moon in Gemini, which is taking place on Sunday, the 15th, December 15th. And this is actually our final full moon for 2024. We'll have one more lunation, but it will be a new moon in Capricorn number two, the fourth one of the lunations in Capricorn. But this is our last full moon. And we will also enter into 2025 with a full moon, but it will be a full moon in Cancer. So, without further ado, let me just open this space, calling on my higher self, spirit guides, angelic team, ancestors, my team of astrologers, also Stasis family, ascended masters, Akashic record keepers, and all the beings of light that wish to be present for this recording that would like to contribute in this co-creation. And thank you everybody for being here. Thank you everybody for participating in this co-creation, and let's just do it. So as usual, I'm going to name the aspects first, and then I'm going to switch the screens and show you the charts, and we're going to dive in. So I'm recording this on Sunday, so Neptune just stationed direct, and Moon is still in the sign of Pisces, which usually, me being Moon in Cancer, doesn't always play out the best, but you know it works for the intuitive stuff. So let's see. Okay, so tomorrow, Monday the 9th, Moon is going to move into the sign of Aries, so that's the beginning of a new cycle. Then on Tuesday, let me see. Yes, Tuesday, Venus is going to make a sextile to North Node and trine to South Node. As a reminder, Venus conjuncted North Node on April 17th, and Venus had her second conjunction with the South Node because she already conjuncted South Node in Libra, whilst being the ruler of South Node in Libra last year. But she had the second one on 3rd of September, which was alongside with the new moon in Virgo. So Venus is now in the sign of Aquarius as of yesterday, Saturday, where Venus conjuncted Pluto for the second time this year as well. And now Venus is making a positive aspect to the South Node because we're moving ahead. We had a little bit of a reset going on there with regards to the relationships and how this is going to be working out for us going forward. And obviously, because Aquarius is part of the Grand Air Trine, this is influencing this Gemini full moon, the energy of this. And also on Tuesday, the 10th, we are experiencing Sun in Sagittarius making a trine to Chiron retrograde in Aries on 19 degrees and 10 minutes. Now, why is this important? Well, A, because Chiron was exactly conjunct the eclipse in April. Back in April 8th, which was in a new phase conjunction with the North Node, as we know. And this is reactivating the same degree because the eclipse happened on 19 degrees 24 minutes. This is 19 degrees 10 minutes. So Sun trining Chiron is reactivating the same degree where the eclipse took place because Chiron is now transiting through the same territory. And Sun being in a sign of Sagittarius, this is the second decan, Aries decan. This is all about co-creation, co-creating this new story with regards to new choices and new timelines that we are weaving together because of course Sun currently is ruled by Jupiter is ruled by Mercury is retrograde. We are reevaluating everything. Chiron is still retrograde as well until the end of the year, so a lot of wounds might be coming up for us to look at again and integrate, so they no longer preventing us from not allowing ourselves to go forward because evolution requires us to get going, keep going, and attune to these frequencies that we are tapping into already. So Wednesday the 11th, Moon moves into a sign of Taurus. So that's going to help us to ground that energy, the feisty energy of this Aries. Then on Thursday, we are going to be experiencing Venus making an exact opposition to Mars retrograde in Leo, 5 degrees, 58 minutes, which is number 18, number 9. So this is again a little tap on the window with regards to the upcoming year, the year of Hermit, year number 9. And Venus in Aquarius, Mars now retrograde in Leo, going back into a sign of Cancer in January. This is making us to reevaluate everything with regards to what do we believe about ourselves, who we are, what is our purpose, because Venus is the ruler of the South Node for another month or so. And making a trine to the South Node on the same week is saying that this is just not going to be that way anymore. This looking outside of ourselves, and Mars going retrograde now is going to help us to tap deep within and reconnect with the essence of who we are, that is going to help us to navigate them going forward. So now it's inward process that is helping us to see things we potentially didn't see before, how we acted, what we were being influenced by, what did we believe about ourselves, that is our authentic expression, and our sense of purpose that was then derived from it. So this is what we are going to be reevaluating now until end of February, where Mars will station direct. And this opposition with Venus, which is actually the midpoint since their conjunction, which took place on February 22nd this year, which was after Venus had a conjunction with Pluto and Mars had a conjunction with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius for the first time. Venus now had the second one this Saturday, just gone. And yeah, this is the midpoint. This is the opposition, which is the illumination. So on the 22nd of February, we were just before the full moon in Virgo. So there were a lot of things, a lot of data we got accumulated, a lot of information that we can now discern upon and see what we're going to do with it. Because again, with this retrograde energy and Mars being how Pluto acts consciously, we will have to take an action on that, but at the moment it's all about inward processing because of the retrograde quality that we are experiencing at the moment. On the same day, on the 12th, Sun is making a sextile to Vesta. Then the following day, Friday the 13th, Venus in Aquarius is making a sextile to Mercury retrograde in Sag. And this is on 6 degrees 58 minutes, and on the same day Moon is moving into the sign of Gemini in preparation for this full moon. Then on Saturday Moon will be very busy doing things in Gemini. Actually still on Friday Moon is going to make a trine to Pluto as soon as it moves into the sign of Gemini. This is the first aspect Moon will make, and then subsequently throughout Friday night, Saturday, depending where you are in the world, Moon is going to make a trine to South Node, sextile Mars, oppose Mercury, trine Venus, and all the rest of it, until Moon gets to the point where we are going to be experiencing this full moon in Gemini, which will be at 23 degrees 53 minutes. And I'm going to dive into that in a moment. And after that, Moon will move into sign of Cancer. So we have a change of pattern here. We are going to start ending weeks and beginning new ones with Moon in a cardinal sign again. So we can see a new direction is being established. And also Mercury will station direct. So this is all still happening on Sunday, but this is post the full moon. So Mercury, as the ruler of this full moon in Gemini, it's still retrograde during the time of the full moon in Gemini. But on the same day, on Sunday the 15th, after Moon will have moved into a sign of Cancer, which is a cardinal sign. It's all about new direction. It's a change of season. It's also the sign of Moon's rulership, where she's the strongest. Mercury will station direct on 6 degrees 24 minutes of Sagittarius, which is the Sagittarian decan. And Mercury has been retrograde since November 25th, just to remind everyone. So I'm sure that many people are happy to hear that about Mercury station in direct. And then we move into the next week, so that we will cover another time. But okay, let me share the screen so we can dive into this full moon. Okay, let's see. Okay, well, Mercury is still retrograde, so, do bear with me, please, at the time of me recording this. Okay, am I sharing the screen? Am I not sharing this? Okay, I should be able, you should be able to see the charts now. So this is the full moon in Gemini, the one we will be experiencing on December 15th. For me here in Mexico, in Central Standard Time, it will be at 3 a.m. and 1 minute. But as always with the full moon, we're going to have a look at the new moon first, because that's where this energy got seeded. So we experienced new moon in Gemini on June 6th. 6/6/2024, and as I mentioned last week when we had the Sun Mercury Sun, it was some opposition that we experienced on the same degree as was the moon. I can't find it very quickly now, but I know there was something. Oh, yeah. The Sun opposition Jupiter that we experienced on Saturday. So obviously a week before this moon, Sun opposed Jupiter retrograde in Gemini on 16 degrees 17 minutes, and I did mention it in my video that this is literally activated. It activated the same degree, the same place where this new moon in Gemini happened when this energy was seeded. So now we see the illumination of that, which is obviously this full moon is not on 16 degrees, it's on 23 degrees, but that point got activated a week before this full moon. So we are seeing something we had the opportunity to learn about in the past 6 months, because Gemini, the third house in traditional astrology, represents our early education, where we learn to write and read and stuff like that, the program, right? So we can see in this chart that everything is technically there in Gemini. Venus at the time was in a new phase, exactly conjunct the new moon. Mercury was in a closing phase. So there was something that had to end. Also, Jupiter was in a closing phase. Jupiter and Mercury just had a conjunction. I believe it was like 2 days prior to that on the 4th. And we can see Uranus, of course, was in a closing phase. So this all was being trined by Pluto. So there was a supportive aspect from Pluto already at the time retrograde. I believe Pluto stationed retrograde on May 1st. And also all of this was trying in the South Node. So whatever we experienced in the past 6 months was supporting us in understanding what are we working on with regards to the South Node, which we are resolving because Pluto was squaring it the entire 2023. So it's no longer about externalizing our power. It's no longer about playing small with the Uranus in Taurus that is breaking us out of this foundation, breaking us out of this caste. Like if you had the when you make statues, right? Like a cast, like we are in a cast, that the true essence of who we are is hiding there behind that wall, behind that barrier we created to protect ourselves from the world that we, most of us didn't feel safe in, especially growing up. So we are all being challenged to break free from that and to realize who we really are, this multi-dimensional being, Gemini, multi-dimensional being that can choose different timelines to experience, to have fun here in this school of life. The planet Earth is the Earth school, right? That's what they refer it to. So since June 6, 2024, what did you learn? What did you learn about all of this, right? And we can also see that there was a supportive aspect between Mars and Pluto, which is, actually no supportive aspect. There was a square. There was a supportive aspect between Pluto and Neptune, because we seek in this deeper meaning, and Neptune just stationed direct, of course. Now there was a square. So this is, of course, the crisis in action, which is like, what needs to change? We need to go in a new direction. What new direction? We need to become someone different, right? We need to interact with reality in a very new way, right? This Aries, Mars was in a new phase with Chiron, also new phase with the North Node. So this was a big reset over here. Big reset over here that said, okay, over the next 6 months, well, next year, because it's new moon to new moon, but 6 months, which is like now this point, we will see more clarity. And then in 12 months, the cycle will end, a new cycle will begin. But what we've been working on in this past 6 months was to understand that, okay, actually, yeah, I do have a choice. And if I want to experience reality differently, tap into different timelines that is not created by my understanding of reality, by someone else, they did this to me, they are doing this to me, you don't understand, of course I'm upset because this is what's happening in my life, right? So when we take our power back, with this Pluto in Aquarius, taking our power back, breaking free, like individuating, stepping into your authority, then suddenly you have all these different options, all these different choices. So in this past 6 months, we were learning, like gathering information with regards to, okay, what is this? And Venus being in a new phase conjunction with Gemini, we were learning through relational dynamics, like gathering information from our external environment to and see the contrast and understand, okay, this is what I do want, and this is no longer my preference. So this is the full moon, which we're going to dive into in more details, but then this cycle will end on 26th of May 2025. which will be the next new moon in Gemini, because the cycle always goes from new moon to new moon. It is not new moon to full moon. It is new moon to new moon. It's the 360 degrees. The full moon is always just the middle point. It's the illumination. It is not the end of the cycle. It is the illumination that gives an opportunity to either change direction or continue in the same direction. And then, you will see whatever it's going to lead to, right? Okay, so this is going to be the new moon in Gemini 2025, and we can see already Saturn 0 degrees Aries, Neptune 0 degrees Aries, Venus in Aries, Chiron obviously still in Aries until 2026. But yeah, here we have Mercury in a closing phase. I believe it was the same here, right? Yes, Mercury was in a closing phase there too. So that's again about releasing the old program. But here, Jupiter is in a new phase. This is what's different. Jupiter here was in a closing phase. In this new moon in Gemini 2025, Jupiter will be in a new phase. So this is actually the final lunation. And we can see at this point, Jupiter is making the square to the lunar nodes, pointing to the north node. The exact square happened like 3 days before. So Jupiter is pointing to the north node, which is all about this releasing, letting go, understanding the meaning, like becoming whole again, allowing the aspects of ourselves to be integrated. So this is this will be the final lunation with Jupiter in the sign of Gemini, because Jupiter will then move into the sign of Cancer on June 9th. And then the next lunation after that will be actually the full moon in Sagittarius on the 11th, June 11th. And that will be with Jupiter already in the sign of Cancer. So it's the expansion of who you are becoming. We can see Mars still here is in Leo, is actually trining Venus. At the moment we have in the opposition, midpoint. And this is the closing trine, which is the harvest, like you become someone else. Your relationship towards yourself between now and end of May will have changed. Therefore, your relationship towards your external environment will have changed, because when you change, the world around you has to change, the people around you have to change, or they will no longer be part of your life or play different role. And this is Mars post shadow, because Mars is stationed in direct in April. So by this point, Mars is in a territory he has not yet been, because Mars stationed retrograde on 6 degrees of Leo. So this is out of his shadow, and this is Sagittarian decan, which is co-creation of this new story. Gemini is the free, it's the third house. It's like this co-creating you, yourself, and you, right? Yeah, the divine masculine, divine feminine in you, and connecting to the spirit, to the higher self. Yeah, and like I said, everything here is in one pile in Gemini, which is actually being supported by this south node, still within a degree. Actually, the south node and Uranus are having a conjunction here, which is about this learning and adjusting. And once again, Pluto is supporting this new moon that we will be experiencing in May. Okay, so that is in the future, but this is the present moment. This is the December 15, the full moon, the midpoint. And this is the point of decision making, right? Because something is becoming illuminated to us with regards to, okay, this Venus that was in the new phase conjunction with the new moon. We learn a lot about relationships since June, right? Relationships of any kind, like not just your intimate relationships, but your relationship with your life, with all these changes we just had. And I mean, interestingly enough, Neptune, of course, just stationed direct. So this is about seeking this new meaning. We've been reevaluating, like, does any of this still hold the meaning since July 2nd, when Neptune was retrograde, but now Neptune stationed direct last night, December 7th, 8th, depending where you are, when you are watching this and where you were in the world at that point. So we're going ahead now. Neptune is going to become the modern ruler of the North Node in January, when the node switch on January 11th. And Jupiter is going to be the traditional ruler. They will be co-ruling the North Node. Mercury will be the ruler of the South Node. So we'll be throughout the year continuously going over, like, okay, what it is that needs to be adjusted and stuff. And Mercury is the ruler of this moon, and Mercury is retrograde still for the actual, happening of this moon, because Mercury is stationing direct afterwards. I don't know why is it not showing it here, because Mercury is definitely stationing direct afterwards. I checked it in my notes. Okay, let me just pause this just in case, because I'm going to double check that. Okay, I double check it in my ephemeris. Mercury is definitely stationing direct after. after the moon. So I'm not quite sure why is it not showing in here, but Mercury is stationing direct afterwards. So at the time of the full moon, Mercury is definitely still retrograde. So yeah, I'm really not sure why is it not showing there, but that's what my ephemeris is saying. So I'm going to go by that. So anyway, going back to this, yes, 22:56 p.m. This is Europe time. Okay, so going back to this, this chart, what we can see going on here. So we can see Jupiter is, is next to the moon, it's conjuncting it, but actually when we just look at the moon and Jupiter in itself, moon is in a new phase. So this is the rebirth of who we choose to become, right? Like who we choose to become, not even rebirth, but I mean, it is the new phase conjunction, which is always about the Aries, new beginning, new cycle, but it's like choosing who you want to become, because Mars is going to go back into Cancer and it's going to be influenced by Moon. At the moment, it's in the sign of Leo, so it's influenced by Sun. But Sun is influenced by Jupiter, and Jupiter is influenced by Mercury, right? So we go back to this Moon in Gemini. And this is what we are going to be expanding. I mean, we've been expanding then since Jupiter being in the sign of Gemini, and especially since it's stationed retrograde, but now even more so because Mars, again, is how Pluto acts consciously. So this is the evolutionary this is part of our evolution, because Mars is your everyday stuff. It's like your what do you do? How do you move around in the world? How do you take action on things? How do you begin think or end think? So now Mars being retrograde, like we might even feel like, well, I don't know if I want to take an action on this. I have to really think about it, because it's all about this. Does it have a meaning? Does it have a purpose? Is it my authentic expression, with Mars now being ruled by Sun and Sun being ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is being retrograde. So this is all about this inward questioning, questioning inwardly. And we can see here that Neptune is actually squaring Neptune and North Node conjunction, even though the exact conjunction is happening on February 7th, but we can see they are already conjunct, they're already within degree. So this is a closing phase, and both, this conjunction is squaring the moon. And from the perspective of Sun squaring the node, Sun is looking at the South node as a resolution node. And from the perspective of the Moon squaring the nodes, Moon is pointing to the North node in Aries. So this is again about Sun, and this is now Leo Decan. Sun squaring the nodes pointing to the South node, whilst Venus is in her new phase conjunction with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. We are breaking free from this outdated story, because in the past 6 months especially, but this goes obviously long way back, not just 6 months, but especially 6 months, we became very, very conscious about why does this not work, and especially because we realized that this is not who I am anymore. I don't know who I'm becoming, but this is not who I am anymore. So the square from Neptune, now direct by this point, is saying that there is this strong desire for people to start making changes or making choices that would feel more meaningful, that would like introduce more sense of meaning, this new direction. There is this desire, there is this hunger, but also fear, of course, because Chiron is also active. Chiron is making a positive aspect to this Sun. So it's like this desire, but it's like, just like I was describing in my last astrological forecast, that there is this fear and excitement are the same thing, are like flip side of the same coin. That I am really excited, I'm very like really want to do something, change something, experience something different, but I'm afraid because I don't know what it is, or I don't know how to get there, or I can't control it, right? So this is like the push and pull. But this is again, like I said, activating the point of the eclipse that we had in April, 19 degrees, even though the minutes are not exact, but the degree is exact. So this is exactly what this whole year was about. This is what this new moon solar eclipse in Aries in April seeded for us, this new direction that is saying that, well, the old is for many people becoming so unbearable and so dead, in a sense, Pisces, the end of cycle, the end of the chapter, so dead that it's like, okay, I'll just try anything new and I'll just figure it out as I go. And that will be the South Node in Virgo. trying different things, going over things, and learning lessons that we then apply in a new way that are going to take us forward, step by step process. The change doesn't happen, that will not happen overnight, but it will take place gradually. So what else is going on here? Let me see my notes, because there is a lot of stuff. So yeah, so the moon is conjunct Jupiter. So I already mentioned that. And like I said, with the new moon in Gemini in 2025, Jupiter will be in a new phase. Here, moon is in a new phase to Jupiter. So this is all about this, you deciding who you want to become. This is the Aquarian decan, which is connected to this Pluto Venus in Aquarius, conjunct in a new phase, Venus to Pluto. And yeah, you're going beyond, we all going beyond. And like I said, you know, again, Mars going back into a sign of Cancer from Leo, and then forward, and then back into Leo in April, which is after the eclipses. This is all going to help us to have a deeper understanding of where do you want to go, where do you want to go from here. And you will have much more clarity with the full moon in Sagittarius, like I said, in June 11th. So this is very important aspect to pay attention to, and also this one, because of course it's a T-square and North Node is involved. And like I said, because of that, we have the skip steps. The sun and the moon are the skip steps pointing to opposite nodes, which is the resolution South Node here, no longer breaking free from what other people think, breaking free from the stories that are created by others, and also not worrying so much about, well, what will the other person say, you know, like I don't know, like these opinions of the external environment, or have been influenced by the external environment to the degree which you will become paralyzed to move into this new direction, to create this new direction, because this is a Leo degree. And Mars now in Leo, ruled by Sun, is retrograde. So we can also go like backwards and see like where did we maybe stop ourselves from going into the direction we felt intuitively guided to, because I don't know, the external environment didn't agree, or they talked us out of it, or because of our insecurities that were being encouraged by the external environment, we thought we couldn't do it, or we couldn't go there, or we couldn't achieve what we wanted to achieve, and stuff like that. So this is, again, this is all of this is going to be illuminated to us, like what was it, who was I before I became what everybody else wanted me to be, just so I can fit in, just so I can feel accepted, so I can feel like I belong somewhere. And that then led to life that was, for many people, not satisfactory, not to the degree how it potentially could have been. Would we care more about what is our inner voice telling us than what is the voice of others outside of us telling us? So this is the resolution node, South Node. And with the moon, the resolution North Node as the resolution node is, of course, about this new direction, because to find this sense of meaning and purpose and completing the cycles that they held the meaning. You see, they held the meaning, but they held the meaning from the point of learning the lesson. You know, this is the Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces. Even the Piscean age, it held a meaning because it taught us so much. It taught us what helped us to get to where we are, but it's not going to take us where we're going. And then we have the square from Saturn, still 10 degrees, but technically still, you know, still within an orb, more or less, just over 10 degrees. And this is the crisis in action with regards to Sun and Saturn. What do I have there? Exact square between Sun and Saturn happened on December 4th. Actually, the exact square between Sun and the nodes will happen on December 23rd, and the square to Neptune on December 18th. So this will be after Sun-Jupiter conjunction took place now. On the 7th, this weekend, as I'm recording this. Okay, Sun, as I mentioned already, is trining Chiron, or Chiron is trining the Sun. The exact is happening on the 10th, so this is prior to this full moon. And also Pluto is trining the South Node. Yeah, that's very important to pay attention to, because as I mentioned, the entire last year, 2023, Pluto was squaring the node's resolution South Node until July 2023 in Scorpio, from July 2023 in Libra. But now, on the 30th, I believe, maybe for some people it will be on the 31st, Pluto will be trining the South Node. So this will be literally alongside with the new moon in Capricorn, number 2. And this is a supportive aspect because again, Venus is the rule of the south node already had a conjunction with Pluto for the second time, and Venus is still in this chart trining the south node. That's also happening this week, right? Yeah, Tuesday the 10th. Yes. So this is still active. This is a supportive aspect, which is saying, yes, when we break out of that pattern to look up to other people to tell us how to live our lives just so they like us, whereas actually, most of us will just be looking after, well, yeah, this is what I want from you, but nobody really knows anybody else better than the person knows themselves. And if they don't, that this is like the opportunity, because with the Mars retrograde, this is definitely something we are strongly encouraged to focus on. And Jupiter still retrograde, Mercury retrograde. So what else we've got going on here? Yeah, Pluto opposition to Mars. This is ongoing until April, more or less. Obviously, when Mars goes too far retrograde into Cancer, it will be out of opposition, but then it will go back into it. So this is all about balancing where we're going with the sense of who we were and the old way of self-actualizing, or feeling like we were being authentic, but actually we were just allowing the external projection to help us think that this is who we are. And then what else we have? Mercury opposition Jupiter. Yeah, this is 3 of them. We had the exact one on November 18, December 4th, and there is one more on the 26th. So this is, again, making us to challenge all the belief systems and the way of identifying reality that got us to this point, and whether this is still working for us, whether this is still valid, whether this is still the story we want to be experiencing. And you see, again, we need to be careful because we always find a proof for what we believe. So it's no longer about trying to understand things just logically. We need to really feel into it, because our rational mind will try to talk us out of it. Like you have a certain feeling about something, your intuition is telling you something, but the logical mind will say, like just ignore that, because this is the data, this is the facts and stuff. And there has to be the balance, right? Both are important, because in some cases, yes, we need to listen to our logical mind. It does play a role. But we also have to listen to our intuition, and that's also about this grounded in your body. How does it feel in your body, that information that you are receiving? Is this actually making you feel expansive or restrictive, right? And this is all about taking you inwards, to trust yourself. Then we have the Mars trine to Neptune, out of degree, but still, and we're going to have a few more. Exact one took place on 28th of October. Then we have one more on the 12th of January, and the final one will be on 19th of April. But at this stage, this will be from the new signs, I believe. Neptune will be already in a sign of Aries, yes. So this will be when Mars goes back into the sign of Aries. So this trine between Mars and Neptune, and at the moment, the first one and the second one is happening from Cancer, and the final one from Leo to Neptune in Aries. This is again about releasing who we were and the sense of authentic expression and purpose that was attached to it, and stepping into this new. Because with the Neptune in Aries, this is all about completely different way of seeing meaning out of being here. Like, what is all this life about? Like, what are we really here to do? And everything that we believe until this point, it is not it, because we're going beyond that with this Jupiter, in Gemini, preparing us for Uranus moving into Gemini next year and fully in 2026. We're going to expand on all of that. Like, at the moment, we're operating still on a program that's been established in Pisces age and prior to that, which is very restrictive to our evolution, because it was beneficial to small group of people. And now we're breaking out of that, and Mars retrograde is going to really make us focus there. Because it's like, like when somebody tells you that, okay, like everything that you thought is just like, Mercury is your thinking, but sometimes we don't think, we just go on automatic. Jupiter is our belief system, but it's like, okay, well, whatever, But Mars is the rule of Aries, is the cardinal sign. It's like, no, it's like really stopping us in our track. Like, we can say, okay, I can go without my brain. I can go about, without thinking too much about what is my belief system. But you cannot go about without paying attention when Mars is retrograde. It's not possible. So that's what I mean. Mars goes retrograde the least, only every 2 years, I believe, right? 2 years. Yeah, last time Mars was retrograde was in Gemini in 2022. Yeah, 2022. I remember it was in Gemini for like 6 months. It was crazy, which is interesting. Again, Gemini, the choice, right? This is where Jupiter is now and the moon. So Mars doesn't like going retrograde because Mars is this action. Let's go, let's go, let's do this, right? And especially like Mars in Capricorn, this is the exaltation. Mars also likes being in Leo, it's just like this brave heart, let's do it. What is my purpose and stuff? And Mars going into Cancer is like, oh my God, flooding in emotions over here. But that's necessary because we really need to it really all goes from inside out. We really need to reconnect with ourselves in a very different way in order to for the forward movement to change. And it's this continuous like trial and error. This is something I'm experiencing in my personal life, like trying to be very conscious of my limiting beliefs and how I do things, how I respond to things and stuff, and like catch it every time, catch it. Try to shift the frequency. Try to consciously work with the energy rather than feeling victimized by it and feeling that, well, this is just happening to me. There's nothing I can do about it. But it's this continuous trial and error, and it's continuous paying attention to it until it becomes a new habit. Like every time you learn something new, you need to practice, practice, practice until you can do it with your eyes closed, right? So this is it, right? So this Mars going retrograde is going to make us to go over things with regards to our life and how we live in it, and then try new things and practice, 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 especially next year with the South Node in Virgo, and release what is it no longer, and until it will become this new habit, until it becomes something else, until you will become someone else, and everything in your reality will start changing because the physical manifestation is the last one, right? Like it's the slowest moving Pentacles. Okay, and then what else do I have here? Saturn square Mercury, Mars trine Mercury. Yeah, Mars is back trine in Mercury, but actually their exact trine took place on November 11th when Mars was still in Cancer. It was on 29 degrees 22 minutes, which is 11:22. But now they trine each other again because Mars is retrograde. And this is with regards to Mercury, this is the first trine, which is the Leo. And this is 6 degrees. This has been back in the Sagittarius decan. 6 degrees is Virgo. So again, how are we adjusting the story about ourselves? So anyway, guys, I'm just naming the aspects here because Mercury is still retrograde and my brain is not working properly. But when we just tune into what is the essence of this chart without going into all this logic, because when I focus too much on the data, then I get lost. So let me just tune in. Like literally, when you just look at the chart, this is very simple. The story is very simple. The underlying foundational essence of this lunation is very simple. It's saying, yes, in the past 6 months, we realized a lot of things with regards to ourselves, our life. Many, 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 many people, if not everyone, are going through some kind of metamorphosis, some kind of awakening, some kind of midlife, late life, early life crisis. It doesn't matter which part of your life you add. And it's making us to look over everything, like a lot of people. And it's so intense. This energy is so intense where we cannot even hide from it anymore. Like I feel it's also this Pluto, making the trine to the South Node. We can no longer hide from it. We have to resolve this South Node. It's time. Last year we felt challenged by it and we were like, oh yeah, but like I just don't want to deal with this. But now that's it. We need to deal with it. Also this Jupiter trine in Venus. Actually, yes, the exact trine between Venus and Jupiter is on the 19th. This is a very, very beautiful aspect, very supportive aspect. But it's again about the expansion. Jupiter just expands whatever we give it to work with. So with this Gemini full moon is the illumination of these choices, illumination of the direction. Whatever got seeded in June with this Mercury new phase. No, actually Mercury was closing phase, right? Venus new phase, Mercury was closing phase, Jupiter closing phase, Uranus closing phase, yes. So whatever was illuminated back then, trine by Pluto, because the new moon was, right. Well, the new moon was not in essence trine by Pluto, but Pluto was trining Jupiter, Mercury, and Mercury was conjunct this stuff. So, but the stellium was being trined by Pluto, but there was not exact trine between Pluto and the moon like there will be in 2025. Yeah, this will be exact 3 degrees difference. So anyway, so going back, so whatever got seeded for us in June, which was all about these choices, all these planets in Gemini going crazy over there, being trined by this Pluto, saying that yes, with regards to evolution, because Pluto already was retrograde, we need to look at things. We need to look at things differently, and we need to make some decisions over here going forward. And this is going to look differently to different people because Venus was in the new phase. You decide how you're going to determine like what you want, what you value, what you, kind of relationships you want to have, what kind of role you want to play in these other people's life, because it's all about you. You are the creator of your life. You are the main star. You are the director. You are everything. You are everything. All these people in your life, they are just playing the roles that you assign to them, right? So this is it. So in these past 6 months, since June, we were gathering data, Gemini, we were accumulating information, gathering data. And now we have the opportunity, especially with this Mercury on 6 degrees, which is the Virgo degree in the sign of Sagittarius, like this is the Sagittarian decan in opposition with Jupiter. So this is all the illumination that can be balanced, something that can be balanced. And what we are balancing is this, how we think and what we believe. Do I think that I can change it? Do I think I have a different choice? Do I believe that I can change the story, or do I have to stay attached to this story? Is this the only story I can be experiencing? How does this story feel? How does this story feel in my body? Okay, let's go beyond here. Let's just go beyond the logic and let's actually feel how this feels for me. Is this something that I want to be feeling going forward? And it doesn't matter what anybody else is saying or thinking, or whether people believe in what you believe. None of that matters. What really matters with this Venus being in a new phase conjunction with Pluto, still on the Aquarian decan, but 9 degrees, that's Sagittarius, perfect. So Venus being in this, new phase with Pluto second time this year in the sign of Aquarius, trining the south node, Pluto trining the south node, it's no longer about what somebody else thinks. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what somebody else thinks. To a certain extent, it doesn't even matter how other people feel about it. Not like being cruel and not caring, like of course we care, but it should not determine your life. Your life is your creation, your life is your life. And then every time you choose someone else over yourself, you sacrifice who you are and sacrifice what you want for someone else, it will backfire every single time, because you didn't come here to live somebody else's life. You didn't come here to sacrifice who you are and what you came here to do to make other people happy. This is never going to feel good. It feels good for a few minutes because like, oh yeah, I'm a savior, I'm helping someone, but this is the old paradigm. This is the Piscean age. This is the sacrifice and martyrdom. No, we came here to serve humanity. We came here to co-create a different world that is built on self-empowerment, that is built on this place of me serving this world by being who I am and embodying who I came here to become. And this is what this Mars in opposition with Pluto, this is literally the calibration. The Mars in opposition with Pluto is the calibration, of who we were until this point to this new version of ourselves, which is actually not new, is who you were always meant to be, that will take you forward into this age of Aquarius, into this new era, which we are co-creating together, this co-creation, this number 3, this Jupiter in Gemini. What are you choosing with regards to your new direction that will be assisting, you will be assisting others and others will be assisting you in co-creation. It's all about co-creation. Yeah, just like, like some channelers are saying, this is no longer about going alone. It's no longer about going alone. It's about connecting with people from this new place, from the place of like, yeah, I've done my work. I know who I am, like I didn't come here to save someone else, or I didn't come here to sacrifice for someone else so somebody else feels better about themselves. No, like this new structure, this new foundation we are creating with Uranus taking away the old foundation, Uranus being a kind of sign of Taurus, still retrograde. And Pluto now being in a sign of Capricorn and Saturn still technically squaring Sun, even though it's a white orb, the old foundation is dissolving. The old sense of structure is dissolving. The old sense of security is dissolving because who you were is dissolving. Because the planet is awakening, there is this energy is rising, there is this ascension happening. It's inevitable, it's unstoppable. It is unstoppable. So that's why more and more people are tapping into their intuition. They're becoming much more aware and questioning, and deciding, is this how I want to spend the rest of my life? However old I am, it doesn't matter. Is this how I want to spend the rest of my life? Does this still hold a meaning? What most people are seeking, probably the number one question everybody would ask if they go to psychic astrologer or tarot reader is, what is my purpose? Why am I here? That is probably the number one question everybody wants to know. What is my purpose? Nobody can give you the answer to that because the answer lies within you. And this is what Mars retrograde is going to help us to figure out. So with this full moon in Gemini, this is an illumination of all these different choices, options, directions, stories, illumination of everything because of this Neptune North Node conjunction that is coming closer and closer, and Neptune squaring the lunation, right? Neptune is squaring the lunation, and Sun and the Moon, the lunation itself being the skip steps, pointing to both South Node and North Node simultaneously from different corners. That which you wear is no longer, because it was predominantly based on the external environment, on the program, on what somebody else wanted, or what somebody else believed, and we just adopted that because we are social creatures. We want to belong, we want to fit in, which is also why so many people are at the moment choosing isolation. They're choosing to go alone, the North Node in Aries. But that will change. But sometimes it's inevitable. Also, with regards to relational dynamics, this is inevitable. This is important for me to withdraw my energy from this external world, focus just purely on myself, to go through this process of metamorphosis without influence of anyone and anything. So there is this undilated, pure essence that is going to become conscious to me. I'm going to become conscious of that. And then I can connect in this new way when I won't lose myself, because this new foundation will be created. So in essence, yes, there are all these million aspects taking place. Like you can see, everything is scattered all over the place. So there is a lot of stuff. And there is still this fire trine active. This time is between Sun was with the Sagittarius new moon. Now we have Mercury in the same place. So we have this literally almost the same place. The Sag new moon was 9 degrees, right? So we have this Mars, North Node, and Mercury. So this is all supporting us. This is all supporting us in this new direction. Even though Mars is now retrograde, this is even more supporting us because we're going over everything. So there is so much, there is so much happening, but in essence, this is all serving the same purpose: to awaken and to break free from this old pattern that is no longer working, that is no longer serving us, but it held a meaning. But now the evolution requires change. Pluto is already in a sign of Aquarius. Saturn, Neptune, Uranus are going to change signs within the next 2 years. So that's it. Oh yeah, here it's showing, okay, stationing. Okay, perfect. Because I was like, I'm not going crazy, my ephemeris is staying, Mercury is still retrograde, but here it's saying it's stationing. Okay, it's stationing later on, it's stationing, but it's not yet direct, okay? So I'm not going cuckoo. Okay. Yeah, this is good that I noticed this, because I started to doubt myself. You see, my ego started to doubt because it was like, where is the evidence? Where is the evidence? So that's what I mean. This is the South Node in Libra. Here you go. South Node in Libra, but of course Mercury has to be retrograde because this is just the opposition. This is not a new moon yet. Yeah, right. Let's have a look. New moon is going to be what? Yes, direct. Exactly. That's exactly what I felt. Yes, it's going to be direct. Mercury is going to be direct for this baby. Yeah, trine by Pluto, almost exact. Yeah, the exact trine is probably going to be a day later, the following day. So yeah, so this is what I mean, you know. So in essence, this is very simple. Look at this beautiful Lilith, you know, over here, unaspected, unaspected. Even though, you know, technically she is squaring. No, she's not unaspected. She's squaring. She's squaring Mars. She's squaring Venus exactly. Oh, the software just yeah, because I didn't choose for Lilith to do aspects, but yeah, Lilith is squaring Mars and Venus. That's good. So we have a T square between Lilith, Mars, and Venus, and still technically Pluto too. The shadow, the underbelly of humanity, right? So in Scorpio, ruled by Mars and ruled by Pluto. Yeah, breaking free by looking at ourselves in the totality of who we are and not caring. Like literally, it's that. Yeah, I owe 100% of who I am. Why should I be making excuses for that just because somebody else decided to put a label on it that this is not acceptable for whatever reason? And this is so easy said and so hard to do because of the program. You know, even someone like myself, who like I class myself fairly confident and fairly okay with who I am, but the program, when the right trigger comes up, it's like, whoa. So that's what I mean, you know. So especially with Uranus still being retro, yeah, for sure we are getting triggered. For sure we are getting triggered. You know, Uranus is still in trine with Pluto, but yeah, this Pluto trine in Jupiter, yeah, well, kind of not. Well, Pluto is conjuncting Venus, Venus is trining Jupiter, Jupiter is conjuncting the moon. So Pluto is still connected. Pluto is always connected, no matter what's going on. Pluto is always behind everything because it's the evolution and it's the soul desire for incarnation, which is expansion through experience, right? Mars. So anyway, guys, you know, I feel I'm going in circles here. I don't really have much else to add because this is an illumination of something you will decide over because it's Gemini, you know, it's like there are a million options available and you decide what it is for you because Venus is in a new phase with Pluto, trying in the South Node. No, don't look up to someone else. You decide based on what feels right to you, changing the pattern, doing something you haven't done before. Okay, I always would ask this person for their opinion. Okay, now I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do something different this time because this is going to lead you to spring next year, post eclipses, by which point you will see yourself very differently and potentially start experiencing reality differently, relationships, especially relational dynamics, because that's usually what changes first, because not everybody will like the change in, you know, your proximity. But yeah, eventually the tangible reality will change too, because we are all energetic beings, so people will respond to our energy, but even the dense, you know, the manifested things in our life, they will eventually respond too. It's just it takes a little bit longer, but anyway, yeah. So I really feel that this moon, especially because we still have the beautiful trine present, and I mean everything is always supporting us, everything is always serving, so it doesn't really matter what aspects we've got going on there. It doesn't matter. Even the squares, whatever the aspects are, it doesn't matter. Everything is always serving. Everything is always serving. Everything is always supporting us on our evolutionary path. It's just up to us to decide how I want to work with this energy and how much resistance I have to this energy. So that's when it creates like challenge and sense of tension and sense of conflict. But yeah, square eventually becomes trine, right? So yeah. So anyway, so I'm gonna close this because I'm just going in circles and there is not really a resolution to this one. It's just the illumination of something that you've been working on processing since June. And now you can make a different choice. You can go in a different direction that's going to take you to different destination. That's going to be reset in May with the new moon in Gemini 2025. Here, May 26th, Saturn 0 degrees, Neptune 1 degree. Uranus still in Taurus at this stage. Uranus doesn't move into Gemini until July. So yeah, this is also Saturn already in a new phase with Pisces, Neptune, North Node, sorry. But yeah, Jupiter squaring the nodes, pointing to the North Node. It's time to let the old story go. So yeah, what are we releasing? What are we letting go of so we can become a frequency match to this new timeline that we want to be experiencing, exploring, that we are so excited about but afraid of at the same time? Like what aspect of us is no longer frequency matched to it, but like we understand why this aspect exists and we love it anyway. We love it anyway. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just like, it's like this nurture, like make it feel safe. And then it won't have to like act out. Like the wounded inner child, it won't have to act out anymore, attract attention to itself. It just will feel satiated and safe because it knows that it was acknowledged and it can be part of it but doesn't have to be in charge, because these emotions, especially the erratic emotions, when we're being overstimulated by something, it is because something is out of balance and that something wants to be balanced. Therefore, the something wants to come to the surface to be expressed, to attract our attention. So with these two T-squares we've got going on with the Neptune North Node conjunction and the Lilith here, squaring Mars and Venus, what is the shadow that we don't want to look at, that is making us feel disempowered because we just don't want to be that? We just don't want this to be part of our reality, our life, but it exists. If it exists, it has a purpose and a meaning for existing. It wouldn't be here otherwise. Like all the aspects of ourselves that we don't want to be who we are, they had to be created or become to keep us safe and protected, because there was something at some stage in our life, whether this one, previous one, or ancestors or something, that needed that aspect to survive. So yeah, so this is like where we like yeah, Abraham Hicks. I've been binging on Abraham Hicks lately. Like they said, this is there is no exclusion in this universe, right? They say that this universe is inclusive. Everything is included. Everything is, there's not like polarization with regards to source. Like this is bad, it shouldn't exist. There's no exclusion, but we were being brought up in a way that is inclusion exclusion. So this is also about the balance, right? Are we going to keep choosing continuously to exclude these aspects of ourselves, these aspects of our life? And it's also about the resistance to what is, right? Like we cannot attract different reality if we are in resistance to our current reality, because yes, by the law of attraction, we will always attract what we frequency match to. So if I'm like strongly resisting and putting all my attention to what is right now, and I don't want it to be the case, I will just keep attracting more of it, because also based on the lessons that we need to learn. Like, okay, well, if there is such a strong charge, then obviously you need to learn how to neutralize it, the balance, the opposition, the Pluto and Mars, Venus and Mars. So anyway, I said I will shut up and I'm still talking, so I'm really going to stop now. So stop sharing. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it at that. This is a very scattered full moon for me, because I can still feel this Mercury retrograde. But anyway, I hope that there was at least some value in it. I'm going to now switch to the cards. So this is where the astrological part for me has ended. And I am going to be recording and releasing my collaboration with Adrienne. So I'll be definitely curious to hear what she is thinking about this full moon in Gemini. What are her points of view? And that will be released sometimes probably late next week, if not literally on the full moon in Gemini. So stay tuned for that. And at some point, me and my solstice Marissa from Grow in the Flow will be hopping on Instagram Live to talk about this full moon, which we haven't yet determined exactly what day that is going to be, whether it's going to be on the full moon, before or after. So stay tuned for that too. And with that, I'm going to end and I'm going to switch to my phone and pull some cards. So thank you for your attention. And I hope that there was something of a value in this video for you. So I wish you all a wonderful Gemini full moon, great week ahead, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye, everyone. Much love.